Hello, my children. Welcome to the Church of Pentan podcast, the premier Battle Spirit Saga talk show, available on all your favorite podcast platforms. May the cores be our saviors. I'm Espira, your head of service, and joined with me are my apostles, John and Cosmic. John, you're looking a little crispy today. How are we doing?
Doing great. Yeah, since we're doing some streaming this weekend for the Atlanta Grand Open, I decided to maybe upgrade the old devices here. So,
True.
it was time, and so we just did it.
Yeah, I forgot that since it's all remote stuff, it actually kind of makes sense there to kind of upgrade your setup. Well, it's looking very crispy. You're sounding very crispy. Glad to have you on for another week.
Yeah.
Oz, how we doing?
I'm doing good. There's a lot of hype Bandai related news coming out across all their games. Obviously, Fusion World's starting to kick up. We got some good spoilers there too, which, I'm excited about. You're obviously even more excited about than I am. And then hopefully soon, we got some promos that we're going to be talking about here in a little bit, but it sounds like there should be more good news around the corner for spoilers and upcoming stuff for Battle Spirits. So fingers crossed that's going to be soon, but I know a lot of things are looking forward to. Worlds will be a lot of big announcements too.
Yeah, 100%. We got the promo, so we'll be talking about those a little bit towards the tail end of the show. But I think we're ramping up. We're in December. We're closing in Atlanta. Most of our talk today will be focused around Atlanta this weekend, Pro Tour the weekend after that, and then we kind of got Christmas. Everyone's gonna chill out there, and then we got the couple of weeks leading up to Bandai Fest, which I have to assume. We know so little that I have to imagine that like the next couple of weeks in December are going to be insane in terms of announcements, maybe early up into January. And then that's on top of the fact that we probably have announcements at Bandai Fest. So fingers crossed that this is going to lead to a very exciting next couple of weeks because it's been a bit of a lull. We're in between tournaments as far as Battle Spirits goes. A lot of the other games are kind of capping off to their end of season as they lead on towards nationals and then their worlds eventually at the start of next year. So just, where's everything lining up? We're not totally sure, but hopefully that means that we're going to be picking up some news. But with that said, Grand Open Atlanta coming up. Myself and Cos are actually gonna be playing, so I'm very excited to see Cos play at another tournament. I love seeing my boy over there. And then John, you're going to be casting. So This is with PPG, right? If I remember correctly.
Yep,
it's with PPG.
Yeah. So you've probably casted in other games before, right?
Yeah, I have some experience, mostly with Dragon Ball. So for the ARG events, I casted a handful of the Dragon Ball ones. I don't know, what was that, 5-6 years ago at this point? 5 years ago. Yeah. So, it has been a while, but I do have some experience, and I'm looking forward to jumping in with Battle Spirits and, seeing how that goes. So, as some people could guess, probably my strengths with casting is actual like gameplay. As far as like color commentary and whatnot, I'm glad I have a co-caster because, that should keep things going. But as for actual gameplay goes, I think I can pretty much cast on that pretty well. So we'll see how it goes.
Are you gonna give us a TD special that Valentino and Alex had to do? Or are you gonna keep it a little bit more low ground, a little bit more?
Oh no, it'll be low to the ground. Yeah. Alex and Ryan, they have their own methods, and I'm sure it's entertaining to some, but for a Grand Open, I think George might probably fly to my house and kill me if I do anything.
Right. Well, I'm very excited to see you on. I think very deserving of getting that kind of gameplay oriented position there. And then I guess you had shifted co-cast, right? I think at one point it was supposed to be.
It was Josh at first.
Josh.
Yeah, and then now it's Emiliano.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Which both are great. So I'm glad we are getting to see some of that other, a lot of it's been all North American focus for obvious reasons, North American Grand Opens, time zones, all that good stuff. But yeah, had the pleasure of meeting them both. All of us did, right, at the last Pro Tour, and great people. So really looking forward to seeing, obviously I'll be playing, but looking forward to seeing how that stream turns out.
Yeah.
Well, I think Emiliano, he wasn't at the last Pro Tour, actually. He said he had to go to a wedding. So
he was at the Grand Open.
Or the Grand Open, sorry.
Yeah. So I've not actually.
It was just 2 weeks. I don't know what happened.
I've never met him personally. I had a call with him earlier this week to go over things. So, we've touched base. I mean, we've talked previously, but
This
so
guy has a real job and a family, couldn't just take off 2 weeks in Europe. Come on.
Right? Honestly.
So I'm pretty confident that we'll be able to do pretty well and casting and keeping things interesting, picking good feature matches.
Yeah.
Showing people what they want.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think it should be exciting. I think the fact that like you guys are a little bit more integrated also provides opportunity for there to be maybe a little bit more selective. Nothing to take away from the other teams naturally.
Right.
But when you integrate, like let's say the not to toot our own horns naturally, right? But round one of the Pro Tour probably should have been me and Kaz over on the stream, right? Just as like, the flavor there, get things kicked off. And then there's opportunities for like Alex, who got paired up against XYZ or just those kinds of situations that prop up in tournaments that are very exciting for people to want to watch if you're in the know for those kinds of things. And I think you guys provide that insight that'll provide a little bit more opportunity on that front.
I mean, I've said in the past that my biggest complaint with feature matches is that usually they just grab table 1 or 2 and carry them over. But having the option to pick, maybe decks someone wants to see or certain players, it's just easier to be able to do that if you know the players.
Yeah, 100%. But and I think it'll be good exposure for Emiliano because he actually needs to come to I think he's coming to Portland.
He is, yeah.
Because he needs the invite to be able to go to Worlds.
yeah. Like he's top 8 or top 16, basically every event he's played in. He just hasn't been able to play in a Pro Tour due to either a vacation or the last one was a wedding. So he was saying that, he's gone to Portland. He's excited for it. And he's a little stressed about getting his invite, but I think that pretty much if you go to Portland,
you should be fine.
Probably get a Worlds invite.
Because odds are half the people who are even in that room probably got their invite already anyways,
Probably, yeah.
So like Tachi's thinking about going stills and he's a pass down if he does go. So, so very exciting. Love to see them kind of spread their wings in terms of casting. One, reach out to some international guys. I think that's great. I think that's a good exposure to get them pulled in, especially, one of the Nexus guys. I think they've been pushing through really well on their podcast there. So getting them some exposure on that front is well earned. And then on your front, just trying to spread out the wings of those who might be a little bit more competitively tuned in is definitely going to give us a new flavor. And I'm excited to see how that comes together, especially as someone on the playing side. But then I guess on the other card token, tournament's coming up. It's been the first gap we've had since the release of the set, which has given people kind of an ability to kind of chill out, think about things through, play. Like I've been testing nonstop with the boys. And oddly enough, I have to say, here's the thing. The only deck I'm finding really solid is red, and I don't want to play red. It is odd how, and like, I still feel it's like, there's white that can do okay if you can kind of like play Swiss really well. And then, shoe shout outs for the players who did well over in Liverpool with white. And then like yellow, if you can fade your red matchups, is really annoying into everything. Like I'm playing Gale and then they're just like Genbooing me. And oh my God, Genboo is such a crazy card. So I don't know what to play. And I guess to shift it over to Kaz, since you are also playing, this is going to be your last event before potentially Worlds. Since you are casting the Proton, we'll talk about that a little bit later. Do you have any idea what you want to do?
Well, so it kind of just leads right into it that going back to the launch event, for those that know, yellow is my second favorite color. At the launch event, it was just the deck I want to play. I told everyone, don't play it. It's going to be a red heavy meta. And obviously, I think I played red 5 of that 8 rounds. Was it 8 or 7? I forget. But it was like, I played red 5 rounds. It was not a great time. And because this is going to be the last event of the year, and because it's like, I want to start and end it the same way, obviously I will be casting the Pro Tour 3, so I don't get to play in that. Worlds is around the corner. Nobody knows what's going on with that yet. Again, hopefully more news soon. I'm probably just going to play yellow. It's that time where I finally get to play my second favorite color. It's obviously very good right now. I actually do like the luster side a little bit more. And that's probably just because like my wife, or I guess she's cut off there, but my wife, who's like right up there with the SPR signed by Mike Elliott, that it's always had a soft spot in my heart. I just always loved like the luster top end, and Flagellum is insane. Absolutely disgustingly insane right now. Like I know Genboo gets all love for the very obvious reasons, but man, I love you, Flagellum. That's a hell of a card. So yeah, all signs point to either I'm going to meme on myself and do a 2 a.m. switch to blue because I have a actual blue deck that I like playing, but it's like a very solid tier 2.
Coliseum?
Like, yeah, it is a Coliseum. I honestly, I think now that I've played a bit more and because I've identified certain packages in blue, I'm pretty confident in saying Coliseum Golem is actually the best blue deck, which is probably a super hot take, but I think it actually is. And I have a super spicy list that I really want to play, but I know I'm going to be kicking myself if it's like the one tournament, the last tournament of the year that I finally get to play yellow, and I don't. So if I swap at 2 a.m., this is me on recording, on record. Right. I did it to myself.
All right, look, you have nothing to lose. You're not playing in the Pro Tour. You don't know anything about Worlds yet. Like, just play the Coliseum Golem deck.
Yeah, that's because John wants to put you on stream round one. He's like, I want to see Coliseum on stream.
just have the most fun that you possibly can is my best advice. But it's kind of funny for me since I'm not playing and people know that I'm not playing now. I'm getting like multiple DMs every day. People like, hey, what do you think of my deck, or what should I play? And I'm not gonna out anybody, of course, but I really haven't seen anything yet that's really like different. So
yeah,
it's kind of the same old stuff, maybe with a couple different cards different. So for someone to bring a Coliseum Golem deck, I don't know, they might find themselves some stream games.
I do have on good authority that someone is playing a Golem deck for the Pro Tour. Whoa. And they are a good player, so I'm not going to out them, but I'm like, please let it be spicy. Please let us be like the same wavelength. So I will be doing the same thing. We're like, I know who it is. I'm going to be, you bet your ass I'm going to put them on round one and be like, all right, here we go. Did he bring it? And then I'll figure out real quick.
Yeah, I've heard of some pretty spicy decks for, Worlds coming up, and even the Pro Tour. So I'm excited to see what actually happens. Maybe these people will just kind of flake and play red or yellow or whatever, but I have heard of some rumblings of some pretty cool decks, so that's exciting. At least
I think if you're going to, here's the thing though, the reality is like, if it's like actually super viable, maybe there's a world in which you do actually keep your tech for the Pro Tour, and that'll probably be something to touch upon right after this. But I think if there was a tournament to have fun with, it's probably Atlanta. It is so low cost. Yeah. Like flights are nothing. Stay, if you can room with someone, is like almost nothing. Don't park, because parking is $60 a day for some reason. But yeah, but like in general, I think if there was a tournament that was like low stakes enough, like look, Pasadena, like 80th place or whatever, got their pass down invite. If you need your invite, you can have fun at this tournament and still have your invite. So
yeah, the only other thing to consider is that currently we know, due to Discord, that there's about 100 players at the moment. So if we assume that there's another 15 or so last minutes, maybe we get to around 115, 120. If you play a meme deck or a fun deck, you are at risk of not finishing in the money, which does suck.
Yeah,
but still, I mean, maybe if you don't care about that, like you said, it was cheap to get there, cheap to play.
Needed your invite.
Who cares?
Yeah. So which obviously is tough to say. Like there's a money part involved, but
my flight to Portland costs more than this entire Atlanta trip is going to cost me. Like, that's just really quick for those that want to put it in perspective. For those of us like
that played so much. That played so much into me kind of not playing this season. Is that A, everything was so condensed. It was already hard, but B, like my flight to Portland would have been like $600. Yep. And I'm like, that is absurd. And it wasn't worth it. So, this casting chance came up and a few other things fell into place. And I'm like, screw it. We're just skipping the season and we'll just start, testing for Worlds.
Getting ready for Worlds. Yeah.
Yeah.
So to that ballpark, I guess it kind of jumps into like our expectations for Atlanta. And I guess before we start off, it's just like, do we expect kind of the same of the difference, right? Has the 3 weeks buffer between the like supercharged 3 weeks of nonstop events? Has that kind of like eased us into thinking where I've settled? I think red is best deck. I think it is unquestioned. Like every opening hand feels amazing. The removal available for that deck is awesome. Like you still run into the troubles where like maybe you can't deal with a Fang and a stabilized board, but it is so hard for green to consistently do that against red. Like I've been in positions where it's like it's play Fang and like, yeah, I've got Fang now and they can't kill it, but like I'm just about to die, because they've been able to apply so much pressure and stuff like that. So it's I think the meta is a lot of the same. I still think it's a bit of a Swiss roulette in terms of like, hey, like you could maybe fade your matchup, and yellow can still do great things. Green, if you run hot and can probably do pretty well. But it definitely, I've definitely settled on that like red just feels the best. It plays the smoothest. We did the test of like opening, draw your deck, 4 cards. Is this an opening hand? Yeah, okay. Draw the next 4 cards. This is an opening hand. So I did that with the boys, and there was one hand we didn't keep.
Yeah, I mean, has red ever not been the best deck? I mean, I feel like in every meta, red is always the best deck, or at least like the best choice, and it's just and it's because of the reason that you just said. It's so consistent. You never have a hand where you're like, oh, this hand's unplayable, and all the cards are good, and it's just it's always the best like answer deck, for lack of a better word.
You have game against everything. Like
exactly.
Like there's no game I go into playing as red, I'm like, well, this sucks, right? Whereas like if I'm playing white and then my opponent's yellow, I'm like, I just lose. Right? Or it's like Gale, it's like such an uphill battle. Like you can get there,
yeah,
but like Gale doesn't have good answers to get boost.
Right.
So like,
and previously, white was able to counter red to an extent, but there's no like counter decks to red. The one that from Liverpool, I think C from Discord played white, and they did pretty well with it and beat red pretty well with it. And I think that if you do want to play a deck in Atlanta to counter red, which I think is going to be the perceived metagame, then I guess you just play that deck, right?
Yeah, I mean it does well against it, right? It's just, I think you just accept it. You kind of like there are arguments that like, hey, that deck was running like 6 Nexus removal. So it's just like, yeah, they're ready for yellow, but like also sometimes yellow just doesn't care because it's like Genbu kills you. So who cares if you're preventing them from drawing a million cards? So it's I think at this point it's just pick the deck you're most comfortable with. And just kind of hope that your Swiss works out well for you. I think is kind of what it is.
I mean, it's kind of a paper, rock, scissors format still, but red is like a Swiss Army knife where like it just, it's paper, rock, and scissors just at any various time.
Yeah.
So
we covered a bit on a Champions Corner episode, but it just goes back to the idea that red has the draw power. So again, goes to that consistency point. And then it is always just the I'm going to keep you honest sort of thing where you have so much destruction tools at the ready that it allows you, especially with the Palo Dinos now just being absolutely insane. It just gives you multiple ways to attack that are just generally good always into the format. And that's kind of just how things have always been in Japanese Battle Spirits as well, where you just have so much destructive power and all the draw power. But it comes down to, will other people just say like, you know what, I'm not as comfortable with red, I'm just going to take something else, and have that like what would be like a community forced meta game in that point where it's not just like, hey, you have 80 people who are all going to like, oh, this is the best deck, I'm going to take it sort of mentality, right? There's always that player choice that plays an element. But for me, I definitely agree that red still feels strong, still feels like it's up there. But for me, it's definitely like red, purple, yellow, and green, like just as a general overview blanket statement. I think all those are very solid tier 1 picks. All of them are definitely able to top 8, can run away with it again if your top 8 bracket lines up the right way. White and blue, white can get lucky if you do, but man, the Coliseum deck is just one of those, for example, just as a very solid tier 2. It's one of those things I just could not recommend into a, hope for the best kind of field. And yeah, Atlanta is lower stakes, all things considered, but man, first place is still a lot of cash, and this guy wants to get some upgrades for next year. So
yeah,
we're gonna try our best to sneak into a top 8 at least one of these events.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's why you play the Coliseum Golem deck, right? Because no one knows what the heck you're doing.
Like we did in Netherlands, there's like that is a large point of it. Like people are just like, I have no clue what these cards do, or like people have to read the Coliseum Golem multiple times and like, oh yeah, I do just get to untap everything. Like it's spicy.
Yeah, that's why those K decks were so good, right? Because you have no clue what they're doing, and then all of a sudden they play these cards, and your opponent's like, oh.
Yeah, okay. I think you have the benefit of those decks is that like sometimes you just have to like as a good player you just respect them too much, and then you give them the time they need to put together the pieces they need, and you're like, well, it's too late now because now I know what you're doing. So it's kind of weird jumping into it, and I don't know where I land. I think the biggest thing that I've come to realize right now is that Nexuses are so powerful, and that's to the detriment of those decks, because red is I think the best color at functioning without a Nexus, because the bodies are efficient. The costs all line up, and it has really effective draw components that aren't specifically tied to the Nexus, right? Starbless Draw is like right in engine, which means at any point in time, if your opponent tries to play some really strong things that have on summons, they're still drawing cards to be able to find more gas to do their thing, right? So I think it's the fact that because red not only isn't as Nexus dependent as a lot of the other colors, plus it is the best Nexus removal color because you can actually play things on curve and still apply pressure, right? You can play a Burning Force and still actually make plays that same turn. You can play an Andromeda and then like that's actually just a body you can do things with. Plus it gives you reduction for all your other stuff. I think it kind of lands on the fact that red is the Swiss Army knife because, like you guys were saying, it has the tools to kind of deal with everything, but also because it is so inherently capable without its Nexus. Yes, Volcanic makes you a little bit more consistent. Yes, it helps your Apollo, but your deck is going to do just fine if that's not what it's doing, right? And then in the way it lines up, it's like, okay, we can't really go lower the ground than red because they have a Ritual Fire, but we can't go above Ritual Fire because then they're going to Apollo us. So it creates this very tough situation where it's kind of hard to find a place in which you can take advantage of a weakness red has because it inherently doesn't really have one. You could argue it's core starving, but you're also kind of core starved in your own sense, unless you're doing very specific ramp things, and those all require one summons. And then if you don't want to do the one summon ramp stuff, then you need to rely on a Nexus, which your opponent can remove, which means I need to hold Highlands in my hand, which means my opponent gets all the tempo, and eventually maybe I can come back with some Fang plays, right? So it is the premier color in terms of like, and at the end of the day, I think you still just play what you feel most comfortable with at going into the Grand Open. But like, if players are still out there and unsure about what they think, why is red probably a very solid pick if you just kind of want to run a good deck? It's because you're going to have game against everything, and it's because the way I think red just inherently lives in the ecosystem that is the way Battle Spirits plays out right now. You know, white, if difference between Nomengard City and not having Nomengard City, pretty big deal, at least in the first 3 turns of the game. Green not being able to run out Highlands safely in the first couple of turns is huge. Purple, you know, difference between having Smoke Valley or Swamps and then drawing afterwards or just not having it, big difference. Whereas red is just like, all right, I played Dino Man, he's a 6K, go. I play Eagle Chameleon, now you can't deal damage to me unless you buff up your big dude or something like that. So it's
yeah, it's kind of funny how that works out because it wasn't always like that, right? So red's done like a complete 180 from like set 1 and 2, where it was like Scorched Battlefield, Volcanic Canyon, like 8 to 10 Nexuses in your deck, and now it's like 4 Canyons, maybe a couple Sanctuaries, and like you just don't care anymore, you know? Because now, you know, like you said, now you're just like play Chameleon, play Dino Man, play Apollo. Okay, now what can your opponent do? So
yeah. Especially when like very specifically, I'm like in my decks. I'll switch over to here. I am considering fighting Foul Bishamo to fight against the Genbu decks. You have no idea how stupid I feel including this card in my decks because it is a 6-cost vanilla that can't get flooded and can actually block like a statted up Eagle, right? Whereas like, you know what you do in red? You play Eagle, and turns out you were already playing Eagle anyways.
Yeah, right.
So I don't know. It's very interesting in terms of like what decks are doing right now. But I agree with Cause. I think you could pick anything, and given a good Swiss, I think you can have a great tournament. And I think that's the biggest thing to focus on.
I just love how we gave Vanilla such a hard time, and now we're praying for them to save us from the Genbu.
Here's the thing, and maybe you can like explain this to me. In JBBS, is yellow usually tied to caring about your opponents if they have skill-less text, or is it usually tied to like levels? Because I do find it weird that Genmu cares about whether it's a skill-less card or not, as opposed to like what level your opponent's cards are. And I almost feel like he's a sub-in to make people be like, yo, you know those vanillas we've been throwing in sets for the past 2 sets, dude? Shit, bro, those are some pretty good cards. Like,
like there is like Dual Eagle, I think is a much better representation, right? Being like the level requirement. God Beast was also a level requirement. So I think that is more yellow in general just has like unblockable a number of different ways that like yellow. You can't block yellow is like what I would say the overall theme is, right? Because it even have Joker, who is just flat out, he's unblockable. So Genbu in that regard does play into the identity of yellow and like what they are known for. But this one, I think to your point, it just is very wild that it was like, you know what? Vanillas, that's going to be the one. Like and someone would have to keep me honest, but I do not think that the vanilla side of it has been a condition previously.
Well, guys, you know that there's one vanilla in particular that should be seeing a lot more play, and it's purple. Do you know where I'm going with it?
Is it both?
Does he have 2 hands?
There you go. Now,
There he is.
that guy at level 3 can block eagles all day.
Yeah, they can. Yeah. One eagle with one hand, another eagle with the other hand. Let's go.
Exactly.
Doing one of these.
So,
Good.
note to all the purple players thinking about what vanilla to play. You play both hands.
Yeah, and it's a Beligor target. So if they ever do kill it, now we got a Beligor flock.
Yep.
I don't even want to think about what the purple vanilla would be because it would have to be like some random 7-drop or something. Just
I mean, what didn't someone play Gasliger or something like that?
Like the elephant is also a Beldegor target. Like there was another vanilla they could have played instead. But like if we're trying to do the what do we do to dodge Floodstream side of it? Like I don't know what that next vanilla is even off the top of my head.
For purple, I don't know. Probably something that costs 6, and it's like
some random shadow card or something.
Yeah,
10 core 5K or something stupid.
So that's the biggest thing for me. I think it's a lot of questions up in the air in regards to like how specifically this last Grand Open is going to go. But I mean, I'm so excited. I think it's going to be a good time. I think I do wish there was a little bit more time in between Portland and Atlanta. That wasn't just back to back. Like I'm going to be flying right to Atlanta, and then I'm going to be staying with a friend in Portland. Just going straight because it makes more sense than going back to Vancouver to go back down to Portland to go back.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm going to be lining up. But either way, I think it should be a very exciting event. I think the meta is open enough that like, yeah, I think that, like we're saying, like I'm saying, red kind of still very stands out in terms of a deck. When you play, you're just like, this feels good. But like I've got, I get good hands with Gale. I'm like, all right, this rocks. Like yellow is just like, if I can just stick a Genbu, if I can just stick whatever. So I think it's very much pick your favorite color, pick your favorite strategy. Maybe not blue, but we'll see if you can break Coliseum.
Well, it's funny you mentioned gone, straight to Portland. I think now that you mentioned that, it kind of reminds me. I think there's a couple European players or maybe Australian that are coming to Atlanta and then flying to Portland. So yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, Wei, the winner of the last Australian Grand Open, he's coming to Atlanta, and then which it probably makes sense because oddly enough, even though it's further for them. Because Atlanta is an international hub, it's actually probably cheaper to fly into Atlanta.
Probably, yeah. No, so, it definitely is. Yeah,
busiest hub in the world, baby.
Which I was shocked. I did not know. So I guess before we kind of jump right into the Pro Tour and then pivot there is a conversation to be had about setting up the Pro Tour, right? And I guess to that sense is like, are you the type of player who's just going to play your deck at Atlanta and be like, all right, now I'm shipping that to Portland and see how that does? Or, do you keep your deck down low, keep it secret, or play something to maybe position yourself to be in a better position going into the Pro Tour? Which I think is an interesting conversation. I think there's a good notable amount of players, right? Like a bunch of the TD guys are going to be going to Atlanta, of course, because it's an East Coast event. I think a lot of people are going to be showing up to Atlanta because it is a very accessible event. And this is probably arguably the easiest way to go from not having an invite, never played Battle Spirits to first Grand Open, probably guaranteed invite, go to Portland, most likely get my invite there, go to Worlds, right? I think it's a pretty nice line there to get you into Worlds, which is like a huge cash prize tournament. So to that end, how much justification do we put into setting up for the Pro Tour, right?
Well, I mean, that's a pretty interesting topic. I mean, I know for sure, I mean, my own team, as an example, the deck they're playing in Atlanta, I know is not the one they're playing on Worlds. So there's like at least one group for sure. And I think it's for the reason that we kind of already touched on is that, you don't necessarily want to show your hand right before the third biggest event of the year. Right. Yeah. So, it's a week away. So I think you'll probably see a lot of teams that do that probably aren't going to bring their number one deck. I could see either way. I mean, $7,000 is a lot of money, right? Yeah. So, you do still want to play a very good deck, but I think that you can just play red and win the event rather than play maybe like your deck that beats red. You'll save that for the Pro Tour. So, that's my take on it. I think we'll see a lot of people kind of holding back, but
I I think there's benefit to saying like, hey, if everyone's holding back, maybe I just take the sauce. I win $7,000 and like EV spread wise across 3 tournaments. That's probably good enough.
Right.
Like I don't
Yeah.
know. So
Or maybe you just play Coliseum Golem. So
maybe you just play Coliseum Golem. So I guess to pivot over to cause, shifting from play to casting, you're actually gonna be casting the Pro Tour the week after. And this is in person again, right? If I remember correctly. We're gonna be seeing you on site.
I will be on site once again because I was lucky enough to cast the first Pro Tour, so I will be getting to close out the year with the third and final Pro Tour, which I'm really excited for because, again, those flights were looking absolutely absurd, and I still want to go and see everybody, so this is kind of like just the perfect opportunity to go over there, and of course, I love talking about the game, so people were happy with it the first time I was on there, so figured why not run it back and do another cast of the Pro Tour. So again, really excited to see, we as we just talked about, like, are some people going to hold some stuff back in Atlanta? Because I get to play in the event and then see what the field looks like be on the floor, know what the meta was like, and then a week later we're in the Pro Tour, and it could be something completely different. Like there's no way to know until we get there. So I'm really interested to be able to hopefully see some spice on camera, because at the end of the day, we went from Axe Spider format at the first Pro Tour to this, which is a billion times better. So no matter what, I at least know that casting the games will be far more enjoyable than they were for Pro Tour 1. So I'll take the win there for sure.
How many Axe Spider matchups did you end up casting at the first Pro Tour?
I have to go back and look. It was
it was most rounds, if I remember from watching the VOD.
I know that's all I remember.
I know. Let's see, Valentino and Edmasu wasn't one. There was maybe one other round that wasn't an Axe Spider match.
Right. Yeah.
The other 5 or 6 rounds plus all the top 8, it was all X versus Axe Spiders. So.
Yeah. So it does lend itself to a little bit more exciting in terms of coverage. And actually, you're gonna be doing with the Magic Arcanum guys.
Yes.
So which huge shout outs to them. Actually, they're like, I see them randomly in comment sections of Battle Spirits videos. I'm like, y'all are still here. Like, I love that. I think they legitimately really appreciate the game. I've seen them at grand opens. So this is definitely a talent hire, I think, on Bandai's side for this Pro Tour, but I think it's a very justified and well picked one in terms of people who've actually been keeping their eyes on the game, and that's been I think that's been a very welcome pick. And as far as I see things, I think it's should lend itself to a good show. They know so much lore also, so which should be a good benefit to it. Yeah,
they're very deep in the lore, which is I'm kind of excited to see. Obviously, no spoilers or whatnot, but like we did with the first Pro Tour, I'm sure that Bandai will have something spicy for us. And I literally just don't know at this point, nor could I say anything if I did. But I'm hoping we do get to see some other type of lore update, because we are going into a major lore section with set 4, with obviously Nova's revival. We have the 4 sages. I'm very excited to see where this is going. So hopefully we'll have something interesting to look forward to. Make sure you tune into the Pro Tour, et cetera, et cetera. But again, really excited to have someone else that's equally excited about the lore, has read the lore book, is very, again, keeps up with the game. I think that's a big thing too. Ryan has messaged me a few times, just thoughts on the game or has questions about it. So hey, casual plug in, I would like a lore set for year 2 at some point. We'll see if we get that or not. But yeah, very excited for this one. I think it's going to be a good show all around.
Yeah, I don't touch on I love the lore set. I think it was a fantastic product. I think unfortunately they kind of shoehorned themselves with the way to design the cards to be very work with each other, unfortunately, and that kind of flopped because the deck's just unplayable. But I think the lore set was a slam dunk product wise, and I would not be upset to see that make a return, or a very similar product make a return next year for sure.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of side products in between sets. I mean, I think they add a lot to the game. I think they lend very good opportunities to introduce more powerful cards in a way that isn't part of a large set. So I kind of wish that they would do more of it. I know we only got the lore set for year 1, but I hope for year 2 there's maybe 1 or 2 of those kind of sprinkled in. And I know that the TP cards kind of add that as well, but having a full set that's kind of built into the lore and into the game just kind of makes more sense.
Yeah, and that in particular, what I really want to see is have the TP cards go down to just 1 card per color and shove those into another product with, again, make it special foiling, make it whatever it is. Because I think too, with what we know about set 4, accessibility is going to be a major issue come February, which is going to be a fun topic when that finally hits. But if you look at even like volume 3 tournament promos, like they don't exist or they're very hard to get. Like the difference we've had from like set 1 TP, set 2 TP to, oh God, set 3 TP is basically out, to nobody's going to have set 4. If we run to another Axe Spider issue, that's going to be rough. And then of course, with having 12 different promos to get, it's just too many. Like you don't get enough cards to support a local that everyone can get those 12 cards too. So like, that's my other big hope that I'm not going to go on too much of a rant about, but Bandai, please, 6 cards should be like the standard going forward. Still do your winter stuff you want, fine. Yeah. But make those other products, if we want to have something that's going to give a little bit more life to the meta, just make it in a standalone product that people can easily pre-order and have access to, you know, be it the lore set or be it like the premium packs that they do for like Dragon Ball and Digimon and all the other games where it's like, hey, here's 2 packs and 2 promos of whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, not to get off topic, but you mentioned this release in February for set 4, or maybe it's early March, I don't know, but
February.
Right yeah. Right, yeah. There you go. So right at that time, I think in like a 2-week window, it's like BSS 04, Star Wars Unlimited. I think there's a new Lorcana set. I think there's what else is coming out around that time?
Fusion World.
Yeah, Fusion World. So there's like 4 or 5 huge releases within a few weeks. So that's going to be a great time for gamers. But I think you know, Battle Spirits are going to have to step up their game to you know, get people to keep on trucking.
Yeah, we're really hoping those Evangelion cards are going to be.
Yeah, they'll be awesome.
I think Bandai very correctly made the right move with making a recall on set 4 and jamming those Evangelion promos in the way that they did, because I do think going into that kind of an ecosystem, I mean, I see you talking about all the time, Cause, especially with like your most recent update video, which you guys should watch. It's a good video if you're interested about Cosmic's content. That covers like the stuff that we're getting next year. And like, if we thought this year was like absurd for card games, which it kind of was, now that like Lorcana's in full swing, you know, now that we're getting a couple more releases with the, you know, the Star Wars stuff and stuff like that, it is nuts how much is going into early next year in the TCG space, and it's going to be a bloodbath for a lot of different games. So I think this move was absolutely necessary, and hopefully it pays off, because like it's going to be tough.
I 100% agree. You know, I think that it's going to work out. You know, at least in the short term. Set 4 will hopefully sell well, the product that is out there. I think the Evangelion stuff should bring some people to the game. We'll just have to see if they can carry that through the rest of the year. But it's off to a good start with that, at least.
Yeah. For those keeping count, it's 7 new card games that will drop so far in 2024. And I don't think we've had, in the 10 years that I've been doing it, I don't think we've had 7 card games drop in a year, let alone the like 17 that are out right now or whatever it was. I had a Twitter on this about whatever I buried it. But it's insane.
Like big games though, right? I mean, it's not just like random games.
Not Kickstarter random shit. No.
Yeah, like this is like 6, 7 like legit games coming out. So,
from like big publishers, you know, Fanfleck games. Say what you will about them, they're a real player in the space. Like, you know,
Bushi, there's
Bandai. Because we got another Bandai. Bushi something coming, right? Buddy Fight 2.0. Who knows? Oh, are they doing it in December?
No, they're doing it. It's rumor has it early January. It just says January though. But
yeah, it's like the winter release of the closed beta for Fusion World. But to bring it back to the loop on product, this Pro Tour is going to be the format for Worlds, right? And I think it would have been fun to have a shakeup. I don't know that there's enough in this format that by the time the Pro Tour rolls in, there might be a deck. I think there's enough funky stuff between like K bullshit you can do that like maybe there's something in there that kind of brings it together. And there's a couple of really neat undiscovered cards that people like haven't really played with, and how good they are, I don't know. Like the 6-drop armored dragon, that card's cool. You know, so that we've been messing with that, and it doesn't do much, but hey, it's something to try. So I think I enjoyed set 2 or the second Pro Tour when we only had the lore set as like, you know, new cards to shake things up. Like that was enjoyable. I think that they should do that more often.
So sorry,
Just
I didn't mean to cut
no,
you
I
off, but
agree. It's
that's
just that, like, I don't need a full shakeup, just that little bit to make me
exactly.
question
Yeah.
my builds a little bit, right? Like, I don't
Yep.
need like a full booster set before the Pro Tour or the Worlds or whatever. But like, if we had like another lore set where it had like 3-4 really impactful cards that made me reconsider builds, I think it's enough refreshing
Yeah.
of that. And I think, and it actually kind of goes back to the conversation we had way at the beginning with launch, John, where like you're a big proponent of like draft at Pro Tours, right? Like and why it keeps things fresh, right? Like you just like, it's a new format, it keeps things interesting. It's it's a whole conversation around it, but it just shows to show that like Magic values that a lot, and it just, because it is so important for it to be like this thing that people are excited to see and kind of keep things motivated, and it tests players in different ways.
Yeah.
And
No,
yeah,
I've played so Magic, World of Warcraft card game, and Versus system card game. All three of those I've played at the Pro Tour level, and they all do or did multi-format, for their Pro Tour, where they would do like day 1, 4 rounds of constructed, 3 rounds of draft. Day 2, like 3 rounds of draft, 4 rounds of constructed. Like it keeps things fresh, and I think that it's the best test of skill where you kind of see who's good all around. And to me, that always made the most sense. That's kind of what I grew up in, right? The very first event I played in, was a Magic Pro Tour, and that's how it was. So that's kind of what I got used to. But it always felt right to me. It was fun. I know that's a hot button because not everyone loves draft and limited play, but like it is like inarguably the best test of skill. So, I think I wish other games did that, but not
Shout
all
out
games
to
are built
Flesh
for
and Blood.
draft. So
They do it as well.
yeah.
yeah, that was a dice on my bad.
I was like, what'd you drop, buddy?
Dropped the dice. I've been jumping with them in my hand. But I agree. And I think it just goes to the notion of keeping things fresh also, which I think is pretty important. But I wouldn't be shocked if they reevaluated, the entire organized play structure for next year. So I think it makes more sense to have the Pro Tour on the release of a set. Like I think Magic does it 2 or 3 weeks after the release. I think that keeps things, or maybe a month, right? But it's just that if you do it on the earlier end, it keeps that freshness and exciting, because we're not in other situations where like Pro Tour 1 or Pro Tour 2 where we're thinking about the new set, but we're stuck playing the set that we've just been playing for 3 months. So I think there's a couple of tweaks that we can do in regards to how we tie in organized play to the release of product that'll keep things a little bit more exciting in the future. But we didn't end up talking about this the last show we were here a couple of weeks ago. So I just want to make sure that we touch upon them since we're talking about these things in general. But these promos for Pro Tour 3 look hot. Like they are so good. Yeah. Like
yeah.
Now, who cares about her, right? Let's show the real card, Mr. Coliseum Golem. All right, man, he looks great.
It looks cool. It looks super cool.
Love
like I think
that dude.
I think all these cards look super sick. So shout out. Like it is funny how hard, well deserved, mind you, we harped on like old school art that the Bandai team will pull up, but like when they actually go out and like hire their artists to make some new cards, like I think these are easily the best looking Pro Tour cards, or just cards in general. It's not like, the only shame is that these aren't full art. That's the only thing we're missing here. But I think these cards are absolutely gorgeous. And the fact that set 3 is so much more playable. Like I want this one. I want this one. I want one of these for very personal reasons. I want this one. I want, like they look incredible. And these I am hyper excited to get my hands on for sure. And it makes me kind of excited for what we're going to get for Worlds.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was really excited to get the Pro Tour 2 ones because, they ended up being more playable now than they were previously.
Yeah.
And plus, the art's awesome. The Pro Tour 1 ones, like, I don't even really care about that much now. But, like, the last 2 batches of these promos have just been just incredible. Like, the best art that we've had, not close, until about 1 hour ago as of this recording, when we got a sneak peek at the Worlds promos, or at least we assume the Worlds promos. They say prize cards.
They say prize, so does that mean like top X? Who knows?
Yeah. More info to come, but they look incredible.
Yeah. So we will take a peep at that, but first we'll take a quick transition over to do what's that card art. Now, have you guys spruced up on your card names?
I have absolutely not. I'll be honest, man.
Nope.
So I am playing a little Mercy, guys. I did tell them ahead of time that I had considered taking some of the Cthulhu oriented cards. What's their family type again? I forget. They're
Cthulhu.
Well, I'll say abomination, but I don't. That's
they are abominations. Yeah, they are abominations. I think.
Isn't it? I'm trying to think of the other word that sounds similar, but no, I think it's the other word.
Yeah, so I think you're right with
aberration.
Aberrations.
Yeah,
maybe.
thank you.
Yeah. So those are like unpronounceable names. So I'm not going to be that terrible. This time
like
around,
Gylarek is a totally pronounceable name.
Yeah,
what do you
yeah.
Totally a real word.
The fact that you even got that correct, because that was the one I was going to choose. But no, for any of our viewers here, and actually this time around, I realized we have some audio listeners. So I'll go ahead and describe the card as our guys here are looking at it and guessing, and then they have to look at card art and get the full card name. We love here in TCG land to do our own card names for cards, but this time the designers get their fair share as they get a peep. So gentlemen, are you ready for this week's card art?
As ready as I'll ever be.
Yeah, that's a mood, isn't it? All right, here we go. So it is a massive Colosseum-like golem-looking thing, but it is purple. It is holding a massive shield and a jousting sword. Got this massive purple core in the middle of its body. In terms of its abilities, it is the one that when destroyed, you select one of your opponent's spirits, remove 7 of its cores and place them in their reserve. And then during either end step, if one or more of your spirits have been destroyed this turn, draw 2 cards at the start of the step. This is a card that players have tried to fiddle with at the beginning of set 2 release, I think. And it saw some fringe play, but not a ton of play, and it didn't really stick around.
I gotta ask, John, did you know what the card does? Because I know it because it's my boy Nemesis. But did you know the effects?
I knew what it did. It was like a one of in purple decks. Had to start a set 3, and it's been played on me in locals a few times. But you're first this week. I'm going to use you as a
no, because I know. I'm gonna be honest. I do not know the full name though, which makes it feels extra bad considering how much I hyped up this boy originally. But
I mean, I want to say Palamedes, but it's not because that's the other one guy. But it's something like that. Like he's like a paladin or something. It's like, what is his name?
I think you're in the right ballpark.
Yeah. I mean, it's. I don't know. Cause, go ahead. You're first.
No,
hit me.
Because I'm trying to remember what it is too. You're right. It is like something paladin in the name, but it's not.
Y'all are way better at this than I am because there's no shot I even knew that part.
I feel like it's like Dark Knight Pal something, but I don't remember the Paldium.
I think it's like Paldium or
I don't know. Dark Knight Paldium is what I'm going with. I'm pretty sure there's another 4-name one that I'm forgetting.
Yeah, this is definitely a 4-name one. I just can't think of. I mean, I think you have most of it.
All right, so I think you guys are really good at this. All right, so you're going with Dark Knight Paldium.
Yeah, that's about as good as I can get.
I mean, that would be about my guess as well. I mean, I don't know the full name.
Yeah, all right. You guys are actually pretty good. You guys are more tuned in than I. There's no shot I guess any of this. This card's name is Imperial Knight, God of Valo Paladin.
Okay, so he's a 5-worder. Okay.
Yeah, honestly, I thought he was 4. I forgot there was God in there.
Yeah,
he's not a knight.
He's a shadow as well, but that's Imperial Knight.
He's a knight god. I forgot there was even God in there, and I'm the one who picked the
Knight
card.
Knight God, Paladin, Jesus.
Oh God, wow. I don't know, dude. I decided that I was straying away from meta relevant cards for a minute. I'm like, wait, there's no shot to even know the meta relevant cards. Why am I straying away from it? It doesn't matter.
Well, I was gonna say to maybe pick something that we've played with or that I've played with, but then I'm like, well, actually, I don't call anything by its actual name. That wouldn't help.
Yeah, so I think next week I'm actually going to start bringing in actual more relevant cards and just trying to see how close I can get to the cards literally everyone is playing before we're just oh, that's Absolute Ice Shield.
If you brought in Rex, I still wouldn't even know his full name. I don't
Yeah,
think it's like
I forgot there was a Tyranno in there. Like,
yeah, I'll say like Jurassic King Gigano Rex, but like I don't know if that's even right. But
I think you missed a
it's,
word.
yeah, exactly.
So to bring us and close the loop and bring us back on topic, we're talking about promos, and John had so eloquently brought up that we did get some sick promos revealed an hour ago, like he was saying, and these are, we don't know what these are. We're not entirely sure, but they look absolutely fantastic, and we don't know if it's all of them, but so far the picks are phenomenal.
Yeah, like the shadow foiling with the gold is just like, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's the good old Ubers from Force of Will coming back that I never thought I would see again in my lifetime, but here we are.
Like, these are some of, like, kudos to the BSS team. These aren't only like the best BSS cards we've seen in a while. These are some of the best cards I've seen in a while.
Yeah, Reanimate is kind of a weird choice, I think.
Yeah, maybe they just thought
the art's awesome, but yeah.
The art's sick. I think with Reanimate, it just might be one of those things where like they were mid-year and they didn't have enough metadata to be able to make the call or not. The card saw like a couple of play in a couple of decks early on from like Zach and Matas and stuff like that. But for most of the picture, I mean, Dream Bomb, like, come on, dude.
Yeah, Dream Bomb is insane.
Dream Bomb is my favorite one. It's crazy.
Dude, anytime that's Scotty, right? Like anytime they throw Scotty on our dude, and just like, oh, this works. This is so clean.
And then Gigano Rex, I think, is the
and the last one. We don't know
we
if it's
so far. Yep.
Yeah, there you go. What's his name? Jurassic King. Okay, yeah. So
it's only Jurassic King Gigano Rex.
I love, like, his art style is also extremely different than all the other three too. Like how they inked out his character, which looks absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like, I'm actually pretty jazzed about getting these. But like now it's just like, now we just need news. Like, thanks to the spoiler, but like, how do we get these? Like, is it the
I mean, we might get them.
There's no shot this is the participation pack, right?
Well, so here's the thing, right? If you look on the website, it says that the actual prize card is going to be Nova, which makes a lot of sense. It follows what Bandai does for all their other games, so I have to believe these are somehow the participation prizes, which is insane.
Yeah. Well, kind of like the Pro Tour packs, right? So this might just be the like the world's
maybe packs, but these look so good.
Hey, we deserve a win. We'll take it, damn it.
Yeah, I mean, you have to go big for Worlds, right? I mean,
that's true.
You have to celebrate your players somehow. I'm trying to look up. I guess it really doesn't matter, but I was going to look at the Worlds page and see.
Yeah, it's actually what I was doing right now.
Yeah, just to see what's on there as far as the prize packs go.
Participation, you get.
Yeah, there we go.
I do like that we get a participation playmat too. That's cool. And then we get 2 World
Championship
Championship
of the promo packs,
card packs. And early check-in, you get a 3rd one, which I'm very happy that they changed that from the store champ packs they were originally going to do.
Yeah, same. So I think then you get. So there's no. Like full, promo card sets. Okay,
top
so
16,
top 8, top 16. Okay, so not top 32 or 64 for this one.
No. You do need to break top 16 to be able to get the full set. Yeah. And then Bandai.
This is not top 32. You get 6-pack. Okay.
So Bandai. Let me just go. Like, I understand that this is a 3rd world problem, and not even really a problem, because the winner of this event just won $50,000 minus 7%, whatever the math on that ends up being. So realistically here, optically speaking, producing these cards costs you what? Pennies, cents? Who knows, right? Almost nothing. There is no reason that my world champion should turn around right after winning his tournament, and if he wants a playset of your promo cards from this event, he needs to go buy one from another one of the participants. I understand he has the money to do it. That's not the issue. There's no reason my world champion needs to do that. Just give him a playset of the cards.
Yeah, I totally agree. And then like 2nd place, 3rd place gets 3, 4th place. So top 4 get 3 of those. And it's just like, no, top 8 gets 3 of them. Yeah, and it's like, come on, man.
Yeah, I think it should just be like 1, 2, and then the rest like 4 or whatever. I don't know, but either way, very small nitpick. Very nonsensical, but just like, hey, like this is optically, this is just weird, dude. Like just give him the playset. Your game works in playsets. But like tons of things, right? Like what is it, all this stuff going to look like, right? I guess we got what the participation cards are going to be, which is cool. But what's the trophy? What is this exhibition match? How, you know,
that's a big one to me.
Like what is this? Like clearly we're going to be sending our best man to go show Japan how we play card games, right? Like I'm in for this, but what is it? What do it's so much news, and I'm just very curious as to how much we're going to get up like front loaded and how much are we going to find out when we're there. Because inarguably it's Bandai Fest, the first ever non-Asia Bandai Fest. It's huge. They're marking up to be this huge event. They're tying in with all these national events. There has to be announcements, right? Like there's no shot that you unionize all these players into one arena like this, and there's not going to be some kind of announcement. So, across all the games. So I'm excited to see kind of like what's that building up to. And like Cos was saying earlier, it should make for a very interesting December. And hopefully, we get all of that before Christmas, but, January leading up into it.
So I'm cracking up because I don't know if you did that on purpose. You probably did. But when you said unionize the arena, I'm just like,
yeah, I was going to let it go. I was letting it go.
No, I'm not going to let that one slide. That one's too good.
But the other part I was going to add on, as we quickly skip over that, the thing that I was going to add on too is, LA is going to be a big stop, but then it all goes back to Japan, which is the tour final that I think will have a lot of announcements as well, which I think is March, right? If I had
it's in March, yeah, it's in March.
So it's curious to see like how long will we have to wait between January, again, our Nats and Worlds for the games across the board, versus how much is going to be in March, because of course then they'll have Fusion World, which will launch in Japan. Probably not any other new Japan focused games. I'm sure they have like a new arcade card game coming out, whatever, doesn't count. They have like 5 of those right now, who cares? But like a new train card game would be a big announcement. So we will we'll have to wait and see what that looks like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And yeah. I think that Bandai Fest in March in Japan, that's the one where Worlds is for like One Piece and the other games, right?
Yeah. It's that's the big one. It's all these Bandai Fests are leading in, like we think our Bandai Fest is the big one because it's the only one that's not in Asia, but like the Japan I think it's in Tokyo. The Bandai Fest is like the big one. Like that is the hyper focused one where they're wrapping up, because the only Worlds that is happening in January is Dragon Ball, and that's because it's tied to Battle Hour, and that's like Bandai Namco money that pays for all of that. When it's just Bandai, all of their card game Worlds and stuff are happening in March. So that's what it's all leading up to, I guess. Yeah. Cool. Either way, very exciting stuff. Lots of things coming down the pipeline. I think it's going to be a very exciting December. Already in general, we're seeing a lot of news. If you just love the TCG space, like we got the whole roadmap from Star Wars, if my understanding is correct, right? Like there's just like all these companies doubling down, and I'm excited to see kind of Bandai bring that together, wrap that up, and kind of get excited for things that are leading into 2024. So should make it, definitely pay attention, guys. Jump around to the different community Discords, be a part of it all. Again, you guys will be able to see myself and Cause throughout the next couple of weeks, attending the Atlanta and Portland Grand Open and Pro Tour respectively, but of course keep your eyes out for our good Sir John here, as he's going to be breaking through into the casting scene for Atlanta. So that'll be happening this weekend. You guys definitely don't want to miss it. With that said, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I was just going to throw out an idea to the community and to our listeners and watchers, is that maybe one time here in the near future, with all these new games coming out down the road, we can do like one off-topic podcast and cover, or like at least provide thoughts for these other games coming out, if anyone is even interested in hearing that. Because Cause, he's involved in a lot of those games and communities. I am as well. I know that you pay attention, so it might be something cool to do.
Yeah, I personally am super down for an offshoot episode. So let us know in the comments, guys, in the Discords and community stuff, if you guys want to hear us talking, because we love the TCG space. As much as we enjoy Battle Spirits, we just love trading card games, and we all have played lots of different trading card games. So I think we have a lot of opinions in regards to what 2024 is going to look like for the entire ecosystem. So I would love to have that kind of episode. So let us know, guys, down below if you guys want to be a part of that. Okay, so with that said, guys, that was the Church of Pentan podcast. Once again, I'm Espira, your head of service, joined by my phenomenal apostles. And until next episode, may the cores be our saviors.